नमस्कार। स्वागत है आप सभी का प्रातःकालीन सत्र में। प्रातःकालीन वंदना के लिए नरेंद्र जी को आमंत्रित कर रहे हैं। ओवर टू यू नरेंद्र जी।
Uh, my screen is visible.
हाँ, आपकी स्क्रीन विजुअल है। लेफ्ट हैंड पे ये क्रॉस कर दीजिए ऑल टूल्स के बगल में, जिससे कि और बड़ी हो जाएगी।
हाँ, ठीक। ओके।
हाँ जी, और नीचे सबसे नीचे राइट हैंड साइड में नीचे देखिए, वो उसको साइन है, उसको बड़ा कर सकते हैं आप। हाँ। यस, दिस इज ओके नाउ।
थैंक यू सबको। प्रणाम। यो सो भगवा अरहं सम्मा संबुद्धो साक्षातो येन भगवता धम्मो सुपटिपन्नो यस्य भगवतो सावकसङ्घो तन्मयं भगवन्तं सधम्मं ससङ्घं इमे हि सत्कारे हि यथार्हं आरोपिते हि अभिपूजयाम। वे जो हैं अरहंत भगवान सम्यक संबुद्ध, भगवान के द्वारा अच्छी तरह समझाया गया धम्म, धम्म के मार्ग को अच्छी तरह प्रतिपादित करने वाले भगवान के श्रावक संघ, उन भगवान बुद्ध, धम्म और संघ की हम यथोचित सत्कार से पूजा करते हैं। साधु नो भन्ते भगवा शुचिरपरिनिब्बतोऽपि पश्चिमा जनतानुकम्पमानसा इमे सत्कारे दुग्गतपणाकारभूते पटिगणहातु अमहाकं दीघरतं हिताय सुखाय। हमारा सौभाग्य कि भगवान को महान निर्वाण की प्राप्ति के बाद भी आगे आने वाली पीढ़ी पर अनुकंपा थी। आदर पूर्वक दी गई यह तुच्छ भेंट कृपया स्वीकार करें, हमारे दीर्घकालिक हित और सुख के लिए। अरहं सम्मा संबुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि। साक्षातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो संघं नमामि। अरहंत भगवान सम्यक संबुद्ध, भगवान बुद्ध का मैं अभिवादन करता हूँ। भगवान के द्वारा अच्छी तरह समझाया गया धम्म, उस धम्म को मैं नमन करता हूँ। भगवान के श्रावक संघ, जिन्होंने मार्ग को अच्छी तरह प्रतिपादित किया, उस संघ को मैं नमन करता हूँ। अन्धमयं बुद्धस्य भगवतो पुब्भागनमकारं करोमसे। नमो तस्स भगवतो अर्हतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमो तस्स भगवतो अर्हतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमो तस्स भगवतो अर्हतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमस्कार उन्हें जो हैं अरहंत भगवान सम्यक संबुद्ध। नमस्कार उन्हें जो हैं अरहंत भगवान सम्यक संबुद्ध। नमस्कार उन्हें जो हैं अरहंत भगवान सम्यक संबुद्ध। अंधमयं बुद्धा वितुतिं करोमसे। आए हम भगवान बुद्ध की स्तुति करें। यो सो तथागतो अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरुषधम्मसारथि सत्था देवमनुस्सानं बुद्धो भगवा। वे जो हैं तथागत अरहंत सम्यक संबुद्ध प्रज्ञा और आचरण से संपन्न सुगत एवं लोक ज्ञाता भटके हुए मनुष्यों को संयमित करने वाले अनुपम सारथी देवों और मनुष्यों के शास्ता भगवान बुद्ध। यो इमं लोकं सदेवकं समारकं सब्रह्मकं ससमण ब्रह्मणिं पदं सदेवमनुस्सं स्वयं अभिन्यासच्चिकत्वा पवेदेसि। जिन्होंने इस लोक में देवों मार ब्रह्मों श्रमणों ब्राह्मणों देवों मनुष्यों को स्वयं साक्षात्कार कर विशिष्ट ज्ञान दिया। यो धम्मं देसेसि आदि कल्याणं मध्ये कल्याणं पर्युसान कल्याणं सार्थं सभ्यंजनं केवल परिपूर्णं। जो धर्म सिखाते हैं वह है आरंभ में कल्याणकारी मध्य में कल्याणकारी अंत में भी कल्याणकारी। उन्होंने परिपूर्ण परिशुद्ध पवित्र जीवन परिशुद्धं ब्रह्मचर्यं प्रकाशेसी अर्थ और रीति सहित समझाया। तम अहं भगवन्तं अभिपूजयामि तम अहं भगवन्तं शिरसा नमामि। मैं उन भगवान की पूजा करता हूँ। मैं उन भगवान को सिर झुकाकर नमन करता हूँ। अंधमयं धम्मा वितुतिं करोमसे। आए हम धम्म की स्तुति करें। यो सो स्वाख्यातो भगवता धम्मो तन्दिट्ठिको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको औपनयिको पश्चात्तं वेदितव्यो विन्युहि। तम अहं धम्मं अभिपूजयामि तम अहं धम्मं शिरसा नमामि। जो धम्म भगवान ने अच्छी तरह समझाया यही स्पष्ट दिखता है कालातीत है अन्वेषणा को प्रोत्साहित करता है अंतर्मुखी करता है प्रत्येक प्रज्ञावान को व्यक्तिगत रूप से अनुभव होता है। उस धम्म की मैं पूजा करता हूँ। उस धम्म को मैं सिर झुकाकर नमन करता हूँ। संग वंदना हंदमयं संघाभितुतिं करो मसे, आए अब हम संग की स्तुति करें। यो सो सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो, उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो, न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो, सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो। यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिसयुगानि अट्ठपुरिसपुग्गला, एष भगवतो सावकसङ्घो। आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अञ्जलीकरणीयो, अनुत्तरं पुण्यखेतं लोकस्य, तम् अहं सङ्घम् अभिपूजयामि, तम् अहं सङ्घं शिरसा नमामि। धम्म के मार्ग को अच्छी तरह प्रतिपादित करने वाले भगवान के श्रावक संघ, धम्म के मार्ग को सीधे प्रतिपादित करने वाले भगवान के श्रावक संघ, धम्म के मार्ग को ज्ञान पूर्वक प्रतिपादित करने वाले भगवान के श्रावक संघ, धम्म के मार्ग को निष्ठा पूर्वक प्रतिपादित करने वाले भगवान के श्रावक संघ, जो हैं चार युगल और 8 प्रकार के आर्य, ऐसे हैं भगवान के श्रावक संघ। वे हैं भेंट देने योग्य, आतिथ्य के योग्य, दक्षिणा देने के योग्य और नमस्कार के योग्य। वे हैं इस लोक में अतुलनीय पुण्य क्षेत्र। उस संघ की मैं पूजा करता हूँ, उस संघ को मैं सिर झुकाकर नमन करता हूँ। निखिल, हम कोई वीडियो सुन रहे हैं अभी?
हाँ जी इंद्र जी।
ठीक है, तो वो टू यू देन।
या आपको स्क्रीन शेयरिंग रोक दीजिएगा। हाँ, ठीक है। तो वी कैन first of all for 2-3 minutes settle down, and then we will listen the or 19th, that is the last one of the ongoing series of Anapanasati.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So these last few weeks I've been talking about mindfulness of breathing, and it really forms the backbone of our practice, and is can be applied in so many ways. I think one of the things that is important is the whole developing of mindfulness, the using of mindfulness in its different forms, and taking one takes the breathing as the anchor, as the focal point, and learning how to develop, sustain, cultivate the quality of attention on the breath as it comes in, as it goes out. Can be sometimes people are. I hear people say sometimes that it's hard to use the breath as the focus of attention because it doesn't really interest, or it's boring. And there's a story in the Zen tradition of just something similar, where the student is talking with the Zen master and just not having much success in my meditation because I just find the breath really boring. Zen master grabs the student, sort of pulls him over to a pond and grabs him by the scruff of the neck and pushes his head into the water, holds it down there for quite a long time. There's just struggling away, and yanks him up again after a while. How was that? Did you find the breath boring? Are you really interested in the breath? with certain motivation. So that a lot of it is putting it in its context of why are we watching the breath? Why are we cultivating the breath as an object? What importance do we place on it? So that establishing of a sense of this is really important. And Ajahn Chah used to say that with that cultivation of mindfulness, say that a moment of a lack of mindfulness is a moment of derangement, sort of several moments is several moments of derangement. However long we're unmindful, that's how long we're kind of deranged and sort of mentally disturbed. So that cultivation of mindfulness, bringing mindfulness to the breath, learning how to develop that, learning how to sustain that. Because this is where we find our clarity, our point of balance, our point of say the opportunity for wisdom to arise. Because it's that moment to moment developing of awareness on the breath, or the development of mindfulness in whatever way, shape, or form, but particularly breathing as a very sort of clear exercise. That this is where we start to develop a sense of calmness, a focused attention that is very stable and concentrated, and then an ability to contemplate and learn how to use discernment, wisdom, so that we can really penetrate into what is it that holds us in suffering, in discontent, dissatisfaction, and how do we free ourselves from that? So that is developing a mindfulness of breathing. It's probably helpful to consider some of the aspects of mindfulness. One particular meditation, it's really necessary to recognize the place or the value or the how crucial it is for there to be mindfulness at all stages. Whether we're just beginning, when we first settle, when we first start to deal with the different hindrances or disturbances to tranquility, and then to sort of full concentration and settledness. At all of those points along the way, there's a need for mindfulness and awareness. There isn't a point where it's not used or is not necessary. It's not uncommon sometimes for people to be meditating, and there's a certain pleasantness there. There's a certain feeling of well-being, and there's a certain quality of knowing there. And then the meditation goes for a while, and then people start to, you see sometimes people sort of slumping and swaying back and forth, and and then the bell goes, and somebody talking to them later said, "Wow, I had a great meditation." That's so peaceful. Just time went by like a flash, and just hardly didn't have a thought in the mind. It was great, but that's not really, not really what the meditation is for. There has to be this awareness, this mindfulness. And as the meditation becomes more settled, the awareness and mindfulness has to be more sharp, has to be more clear. And it's not I say that sharpness and clarity doesn't manifest itself in maybe thinking so much. It might be very, very settled, but it's knowledgeable of the state of clarity itself. So that this mindfulness is either it's mindful of the different stages of the cultivation. It's mindful of the mental states, whether it's concentrated, whether it's not concentrated, so this is a critical factor. Getting a basic feel for what the mindfulness is constituted with by. Bhante Gunaratana talks about he heard that there was one point Bhante Gunaratana wrote a very well-known book on mindfulness in plain English, and he said that he heard one of his a student or somebody who was interested in his teachings was reading this book. It was so sort of interested in mindfulness and was reading this book, walking along the street, and got hit by a car. So one has to learn how to apply mindfulness as well as sort of know some of the facts about it. It's so that the basic description that the Buddha gives of when he describes the mindfulness, there's sort of four constituents: ardent, fully aware, mindful, and having put away longing and displeasure for the world. These are characteristics of the mind of mindfulness. So that there's this quality of ardent, atapi in Pali, which means this application of effort. There's an effort involved. There's an energetic quality to it. It's not just kind of slack and flaccid. There's an energy to it. An ardent is the word that's usually translated in English. And just naturally, it's not a forced effort. For mindfulness to be, say, in its proper balance, there's this quality of kind of a vigor that's there, because, say, when you're being mindful of something, you're engaged with it. You're interested in it. There's a willingness to put forth that attention, because it reciprocates with a nurturing of the heart. So when we're really mindful, there's a sense of the mind being very satisfied. The heart is really nurtured by that application of mindfulness. It's not a burden or a chore to be mindful. it's what really nourishes us as human beings, really. It's when we're unmindful, when we're scattered, when we're distracted, that it's really disturbing or distracting for the mind. So this sense of atapi, ardent, putting forth of effort. The next quality is sampajano, which is usually translated as fully aware or clearly comprehending, fully understanding. And in the commentaries, the sampajanya is said to have the characteristic of non-confusion, and its function is to investigate, and it manifests as scrutiny, so that there's this investigate, and sometimes it's used synonymously with wisdom. So that this application of wisdom, and mindfulness is not a static quality of just being mindful of a fixed thing or fixed attention. There's a dynamic quality that is investigating, is scrutinizing, is weighing the benefits or the drawbacks. There's a sense of recognition of time and place, situation that one's in. So that's this characteristic of non-confusion, function of investigation, manifesting as scrutiny. These characteristics of sampajanya, so that there's clear comprehension. And particularly in meditation, it's very necessary to have that quality, because you're always needing to make slight adjustments. When we're paying attention to the breath, we're always needing to be making slight adjustments to either the meditation object, or the degree of effort that we're putting in, or the balancing of our investigation as opposed to the degree of calmness, so that there's this sense of the mind. You're always needing to make slight adjustments in order to find a point of balance, and this is the part of the function of mindfulness, but particularly in its aspect of sampajanya, or clear comprehension. The quality of the third quality, Sati, is usually what is translated as mindfulness. Again, the commentaries say the characteristic, mindfulness has the characteristic of remembering. And its function is not forgetting, and it manifests as guarding. So that there's this function of the way that mindfulness is working is a sense of remembering what we're actually doing, remembering to be attentive to the breath, remembering to be attentive to the posture, remembering what mental state is useful and beneficial for working with, bringing up positive, wholesome qualities in the mind. and it's guarding the mind in a sense of protecting the wholesome qualities within the mind, that which tends to calmness or brightness or a sense of settledness and well-being. These are qualities that the meditation is general application of mindfulness, and particularly in meditation it's important to be attending to what is useful, what's beneficial, what's helping the mind settle and become clear. And it's like, training training the mind. You realize that there's some things that we shouldn't just let the mind wander off and be getting caught up in. It's too disturbing. There's lots of ill will and aversion, anger. It's really, the mind gets absorbed into it, or desire, attachment. If we just let the mind merrily go on in those streams of thought, then it disturbs the well-being, the wholesomeness of the mind. It's calm, it's peace. In the same way that one, say with a small child or a baby, you look over it, you keep an eye on it, and if you provide set out some toys and things to play with so that it gets interested in it, and it goes over and picks up a pair of scissors. You don't just let them play with a pair of scissors. You take the scissors away and you hide them. So in the same way, in meditation, you want to be protecting, guarding the mind from its picking up objects that are not helpful for it, or dangerous to it. And so that there's, especially in the mindfulness of breathing, there's many, many ways that we can be using the mindfulness of breathing. It's awareness of and the Buddha gives this whole scope. I've spent the past 3 weeks really talking about all the different ways of using mindfulness of breathing, and using aspects of the body, feelings, mind, dhammas as the foundations for applying attention. And there's lots of, say, wholesome, skillful things, ways that we can be directing attention. But there's also, there's so many unskillful things that we can be doing. We have to be attentive and guarding the mind. In the same way that you might have a whole medicine cabinet full of medicines, and you have to know what today I've got a headache, but you don't go in and just randomly take out some medicine from the medicine chest and say, well, it's medicine, so I'll take it. You have to say, read the label and say, oh yeah, right. Oh, this is actually something for a headache, as opposed to medicine for something else. So in the same way with the different tools, techniques, and ways of applying attention, they have a particular purpose. They have a function, and learning how to develop the skill in and familiarity with ourselves, with our own mind, with our own personalities, with our own temperaments, and seeing, well, what works for us, what is beneficial, what protects and guards the mind so that the wholesome states of mind have an opportunity to flourish, and the unskillful states of mind have an opportunity to settle, to dissolve, to be let go of, finally. So that these mindfulness in its different aspects this is a key factor. The last quality that is considered part of the characteristics of mindfulness is the having put away longing and displeasure for the world, or oftentimes it's translated as having put away covetousness and grief for the world. So that the tendency to either be drawn into desire and aversion, liking and disliking, wanting, not wanting, those that flip-flopping back and forth of the mind, where the mind is either being attracted or repelled, and to realize, you start to get bored with that. Because we tend to allay the things that we dislike, we don't want, with something that's interesting, fascinating, that we can be attracted to. We can get some longing and something pleasurable going, but that it can't sustain itself. We get fed up with that, and then we get averse to things. And so that back and forth is just, it's so typical of how the human condition is, but there is, say, the way out, which is, of course, the whole purpose of the Buddha's teachings, is giving us a way out, giving us a way to direct attention to that which is truly peaceful, is settled. So that this learning to apply and develop mindfulness, so that we're able to, in meditation, to settle the mind, and also to carry it into our daily life in different ways. So that sense of ardent, fully aware, mindful, having put away longing and displeasure for the world. So when we are cultivating mindfulness, in particular with mindfulness of breathing, to bring attention to the quality of the awareness that we're using, we're relying on. Learning how to brighten the mind with this quality of awareness that is more focused, more comprehensive. As I said, it's not uncommon to, as we continue the meditation, and to just drift into habits, and to do it in a mechanical, rote fashion, lose the kind of the life in it. And so it takes some patience, really, to just keep bringing the mind back to a simple object like the breath, and making it, putting life into it, bringing up that quality of interest and attention. It's just that the repetition and willingness to say, to fail at it, or to maybe think that one's not making any great progress, but just to keep doing it, and keep coming back and doing it. There's a woman in England holds the Guinness Book of Records for doing a driving test, getting on her 39th attempt at getting her driver's test. She ran a red light and crashed the car, and she still went back, and next year she went back for a driver's test again, and she finally passed. It was her 40th time. That's there's something really good about that. That's to be really willing to okay, I'm going to get it next time, and just with the meditation to have that same sense, because sometimes the meditations go fine, sometimes they're a total washout. But it's just being willing to, just having the patience to come back and start over again, and to keep trying to bring forth those balancing qualities of mindfulness, clear comprehension, effort, right attitude, right application. And of course the reason why we do that is because it is possible for the mind to become very, very peaceful. That's the capacity of the mind to be very peaceful, very still, very clear, and to really understand this human condition, this curious predicament we're in, and to be free. But it does depend on really composing the mind with awareness, and to just keep returning to that settling and focusing until the mind really does start to settle. And when the mind starts to settle, starting to have confidence in the peaceful mind, in the mind of awareness. Sometimes we're when we're using the breath as the object, and as the breath starts to as the mind starts to settle, the breath starts to become a bit more fine and a bit more subtle. And sometimes we don't have the confidence in ourselves or in the mindfulness, and then we say, "Oh, my mind is wandering." So then we try to make the breath more clear. But at that point, that's when there is a good, stable foundation of awareness and mindfulness in its comprehensive way. Then one doesn't need to be attending to the breath in the same way, in the sensation of the breath. What you start attending to is the actual, say, feeling or presence of the breath or image of the breath. It's hard. I mean, language is a bit difficult at that point. But there's, where you're experiencing the breath, and to attend to that point. The mind becomes very settled. And as one attends to that point of where one experiences the breath, then and one sustains that, then the mind will oftentimes then just really settle and absorb into that sensation. It's almost like sort of dive into that sensation. Or sometimes the experience of just sort of being all of a sudden sort of surrounded by that awareness and that fullness of that sensation. So that there's a solidity of attention. And that's when we can start to really pay attention to the knower itself, the mind itself. And of course, this is what the meditation is for. We said we use mindfulness of breathing, but it's a vehicle. It's a method. It's a skillful means to give us the opportunity to start to experience more clearly the mind itself, the knower, and the awareness turns back on itself, starts to see itself more clearly, and it's at that point where we can really start to kind of disentangle the kind of delusion and confusion that such a ubiquitous experience in the human condition. really starting to experience things from a place of clarity and discernment. And of course that's where we are able to start attending to letting go and relinquishing, dropping attachments. Because you start seeing clearly that we create pain for ourselves, we create confusion for ourselves. And it doesn't make sense when you see it clearly. You know, from the perspective of confusion and delusion, it makes perfect sense why we should be upset and angry at somebody, or why we should why we just have to get that in order to be happy, or why something is really needs to be doubted and fretted over. It makes complete sense from the standpoint of confusion. But from the standpoint of clarity and discernment, it ceases to have the same logic, and we can start to let go of things, we can start to drop things, relinquish. And this was Ajahn Chah was always pointing out the importance of this, coming to a place of really putting things down, of letting go, dropping things, dropping everything. It's like that. So you let go a little, you get a little peace. You let go a lot, you get a lot of peace. You let go completely, you get complete peace. It's a very simple equation. That Ajahn Chah has a wonderful ability to put something into a very succinct sort of manner. But that letting go it takes clarity. It takes that mindfulness, and so that the developing mindfulness of breathing. This is sort of like it's a basic foundation of our spiritual practice. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.
ये था 19th ऑडियो इंस्ट्रक्शंस, द लास्ट वन ऑफ द सीरीज। कोई प्रश्न हो तो पूछ सकते हैं बिफोर वी इनवाइट रविंदर जी और परिता। ओवर टू यू रविंदर जी।
नास्ति मे शरणं गण्यं नास्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु ते जयमङ्गलम् नास्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु ते जयमङ्गलम् नास्ति मे शरणं अन्यं सङ्घो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु ते जयमङ्गलम् मेरी कोई अन्य शरण नहीं है, बुद्ध ही मेरी श्रेष्ठ शरण है। इस सत्य वचन से तुम्हारी जय हो, मंगल हो। मेरी कोई अन्य शरण नहीं है, धम्म ही मेरी श्रेष्ठ शरण है। इस सत्य वचन से तुम्हारी जय हो, मंगल हो। मेरी कोई अन्य शरण नहीं है, संघ ही मेरी श्रेष्ठ शरण है। इस सत्य वचन से तुम्हारी जय हो, मंगल हो। यं किंचिरत्नं लोके विद्यते विविधं पुथु रत्नं बुद्धसमं नास्ति तस्मात्सुद्धि भवन्तु ते। यं किंचिरत्नं लोके विद्यते विविधं पुथु रत्नं धम्मसमं नास्ति तस्मात्सुद्धि भवन्तु ते। यं किंचिरत्नं लोके विद्यते विविधं पुथु रत्नं संगसमं नास्ति तस्मात्सुद्धि भवन्तु ते। लोक में जितने भी रत्न हैं, जिनको जाना जाता है, बुद्ध के समान कोई रत्न नहीं है। इस सत्य वचन के प्रभाव से आपका कल्याण हो। लोक में जितने भी रत्न हैं, जिनको जाना जाता है, धम्म के समान कोई रत्न नहीं है। इस सत्य वचन के प्रभाव से आपका कल्याण हो। लोक में जितने भी रत्न हैं, जिनको जाना जाता है, संघ के समान कोई रत्न नहीं है। इस सत्य वचन के प्रभाव से आपका कल्याण हो। सकत्वा बुद्धिरत्नं ओषधं उत्तमं वरं हितं देवमनुस्सानं बुद्ध तेजेन सुत्थिना न सन्ति उपद्वा सभ्ये दुःखावुपशमन्तु ते। सकत्वा धम्मरत्नं ओषधं उत्तमं वरं परढ़ौपशमनं धम्मतेजेन सुत्थिना न सन्ति उपद्वा सब्बे भयावुपशमयन्तु ते सकत्वा सङ्घरत्नम् औषधं उत्तमं वरम् आहुनेयं पाहुनेयं सङ्घतेजेन सुत्थिना न सन्ति उपद्वा सब्बे रोगावुपशमयन्तु ते। बुद्ध रत्न का सत्कार कर, जो कि उत्तम और श्रेष्ठ औषधि है, देवों और मनुष्यों के हित के लिए। बुद्ध के तेज के प्रभाव से कल्याण हो, सारे उपद्रव दूर हों, हमारे दुखों का शमन हो। धम्म रत्न का सत्कार कर, जो कि उत्तम और श्रेष्ठ औषधि है, ताप शांत करने के लिए। धम्म के तेज के प्रभाव से कल्याण हो, सारे उपद्रव दूर हों, हमारे भयों का शमन हो। संघ रत्न का सत्कार कर, जो कि उत्तम और श्रेष्ठ औषधि है, तथा आतिथ्य और भेंट देने योग्य हैं। संघ के तेज के प्रभाव से कल्याण हो, सारे उपद्रव दूर हों, हमारे रोगों का शमन हो। सब्बीतियो विभज्यन्तु, सब्ब रोगो विनश्यतु, माते भवतवन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। अभिवादनशीलस्य नित्यं वृद्धापचायिनो, चत्तारो धम्मा वर्धन्ति आयु वर्णो सुखं बलं। सभी विपत्तियां दूर हों, सभी रोगों का नाश हो, तुम्हें कोई बाधा न हो, सुखी और लंबी आयु हो। जिसका अभिवादन करने का स्वभाव है और बड़ों का सदा आदर करता है, उसके चार धम्म बढ़ते हैं, आयु, वर्ण और सुख और बल। महाकारुणिको नाथो हिताय सब्बपाणिनं, पुरेत्वात् पारमी सब्बा पत्तो संबोधिं उत्तमं। एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु ते जय मंगलं। जयन्तो बोधिया मूले सख्यानं नन्दिवर्धनो, एवं त्वं विजयो होहि जयस्सु जय मंगलम्। अपराजित पल्लंके शीसे पठविं पुखरे, अभिषेके सबबुद्धानं अगपत्तोपमोदति। सुनखत्तं सुमंगलं सुप्रभातं सुहुठितं, सुखिनो सुमुहूर्तो च सुयठं ब्रह्मचारिषु। पदक्षिणं कायकम्मं वाचा कम्मं पदक्षिणं पदक्षिणं मनोकम्मं पणिधीते पदक्षिणा पदक्षिणानि कत्वान् लभन्त अर्थे पदक्षिणे। महान कारुणिक भगवान बुद्ध ने सभी प्राणियों के हित के लिए सभी पारमिताएं पूरी कर संबोधि प्राप्त की। इस सत्य वचन के प्रभाव से तुम्हारी जय हो, मंगल हो। बोधि वृक्ष के नीचे विजेता हुए शाक्यों की प्रसन्नता को बढ़ाने वाले तुम भी इसी प्रकार विजयी हो। तुम्हारी जय हो, मंगल हो। अपराजित आसन में पृथ्वी रूपी कमल पत्र के शीर्ष पर बैठे सभी बुद्धों के द्वारा प्रतिष्ठित वे सबसे महान संबोधि प्राप्त कर प्रमुदित हुए। शुभ नक्षत्र हैं वे, शुभ मंगल, शुभ प्रभात, शुभ आहुति, शुभ क्षण, शुभ मुहूर्त, ब्रह्मचारियों को श्रेष्ठ दान जो है सम्यक काया कर्म, सम्यक वाचिक कर्म, सम्यक मनोकर्म, आपके सम्यक संकल्प, ऐसे सम्यक कर्म करके आपको सम्यक लक्ष्य प्राप्त होते हैं। भवतु सब मंगलं, रक्षन्तु सब देवता, सब बुद्धानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सब मंगलं, रक्षन्तु सब देवता, सब धम्मानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सब मंगलं, रक्षन्तु सब देवता, सब संघानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। सबका मंगल हो, सभी देवता संरक्षण करें। सभी बुद्धों के प्रताप से आपका सदा ही कल्याण हो। सबका मंगल हो, सभी देवता संरक्षण करें। सभी धम्मों के प्रताप से आपका सदा ही कल्याण हो। सबका मंगल हो, सभी देवता संरक्षण करें। सभी संघों के प्रताप से आपका सदा ही कल्याण हो। अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि। स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू राजेंद्र जी।
दीपक जी ने हैंड रेस किया हुआ है। दीपक जी,
हाँ जी हाँ जी, ये जितने भी ये 19 सेशंस हुए हैं इनका कहीं कंसोलिडेटेड होगा ना, लिंक होगा
हाँ
तो
प्लेलिस्ट है। जी जी
लिंक
been
भेज
very-
दें, निखिल के पास है, निखिल भेज देना।
जी जी, मैं भेज
हमने
दूंगा।
डाला था वैसे, हमने डेली मेडिटेशन सेशन डाला था।
डाला हुआ है,
हाँ, डाल
फिर दोबारा
डाल।
मैं दीपक जी आपको भेज दूंगा, आपके पर्सनल उसमें भेज दूंगा।
ठीक है
हाँ,
जी,
मुझे भेज देना होगा।
थैंक यू
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू
थैंक यू
रजिता
रजत जी।
नमस्कार।
धन्यवाद जी, नमस्कार।